Part 49. My koi sister is 3.5 years old. Author, Xia Sheng. Chapter 481. Chapter 481 The Strongest Zay in the Three Realms. Goo, goo goo. The fat baby was staggering and drooling and walked towards Fu Ziyan. Goo goo, goo goo, hug, ah, goo goo. The baby has just turned 1 year old and cannot walk easily. He has to sit down after taking only 2 steps. When he saw Fu Ziyan, he hurriedly rushed over and hugged her leg. Her Royal Highness, who had always been cold, lowered her head, her eyebrows curved, and her eyes softened a bit. "Greetings to your Highness the Princess," the palace servants shouted and knelt on the ground. "This is Fu Huizi's eldest son, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince, who is just 1 year old. The little fat baby's arms are like lotus joints, white and fat." Fu Ziyan bent down and picked him up. "The little guy sat on my aunt's arm, hugged her cheek, and took a big sip." "Goo goo," the little guy shouted while nodding his head. "Goo goo," the little guy continued to nod. "Where is your father?" Fu Ziyan pinched his cheek. The little guy was only 1 year old, so naturally he didn't understand. "Reporting to your Majesty is discussing matters in the Imperial Study Room." Fu Ziyan carried the child and walked to the Imperial Study. There were many officials waiting outside the Imperial Study Room, and they vaguely heard a few words. For some reason, there have been so many monks in recent years. Your Majesty must find a way to control them. Monk. Fu Ziyan's cheeks twitched slightly. He held the child and looked at the sky, looking innocent. After the officials left, Fu Ziyan carried the young prince into the palace. The emperor was looking at her faintly. "I vaguely remember, back then you sent all the disciples in the Buddhist world to the lower world for training." Fu Ziyan laughed dryly. He. "Call father quickly." Fu Huizi stretched out his hand and patted his eldest son. The chubby milkman glanced at him, then puffed bubbles at his biological father, then retracted into his aunt's arms. "Goo goo, fragrant." Muttering. "You kid, don't call me father, emperor and mother, queen, call me aunt in the first sentence. In the second sentence, give me a hug. It's time to call me father, emperor, and queen. Call father." Fu Huizi stared. The little prince looked at him with a nervous look, and then at his aunt. "Call father," he shouted softly and full of grievance. Poof. Fu Ziyan kept his mouth shut, afraid that he would laugh out loud. Even the eunuch's shoulders shook. Fu Huizi was furious. "You are calling me emperor father, you are calling me emperor father. Be good, call me father. Father." Fu Huizi stared at his eldest son, feeling very sad. The little baby bit his index finger, drooled, and looked at him with a cute expression. Hearing his father's words, he immediately replied, "Hey." Fu Ziyan burst out laughing. The was shaking so much that tears fell down. Fu Huizi's cheeks darkened. "You brat, you're taking advantage of me." He angrily tried to grab the little prince, but the little prince hung on his aunt's neck and refused to let go. "Your Majesty, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince is getting close to his own family. He knows who is good to him, so he is getting close to His Highness the eldest princess." The smiled and smoothed things over. Fu Huizi glanced at his son and saw his son hiding in his sister's arms fearfully. He couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. His sister is cold and indifferent to everyone, but it is this guy's fate that she likes this little brat. If my sister likes it, I will give birth to one myself. I will find all the good men in the world for you. It's up to you to choose," Fu Huizi said with a smile. Fu Ziyan shook his head. "I have told my parents that I don't want to get married. I didn't say that I had to get married, it's just a matter of kidneys and not heart. You have your own mission, and you just have to complete it. Having fun in the world will not delay your enlightenment." Fu Huizi sighed. Everyone wanted to keep his sister. There is no big difference between people, vegetation, and my sister Fu Ziyan was wearing a simple white dress, looking more and more ethereal and agile. Fu Huizi stopped trying to persuade him and just took the young prince into his arms. Shall we go back after dinner at night? Here's your favorite gourd meat. You, eat right, eat right. The little prince squirmed in the emperor's arms again, clamoring for meat. Fu Huizi also invited his uncle and others into the palace to have a meal together. This dinner was served until the palace gate was closed. You have to keep an eye on the little prince these days. It's a little uneasy outside. Yanchuan patted the little prince on the head. It is probably because the way of heaven has been missing for too long, and all walks of life are vaguely unstable. Yan Sushui is a collection of remnant souls, so he needs to rest for a while every once in a while. Fu Ziyan sent her to Zhekongtian to recuperate, and her father stayed with her in Zhekongtian. As soon as I returned to the palace, I heard that the prince was missing. When Fu Ziyan came back, the maids and servants knelt on the ground. Everyone's face turned pale and they were trembling. The emperor and the empress were furious. Today is the Lantern Festival. The emperor and the empress paid a private visit incognito to observe the people's sentiments. The young prince wanted to go too. Who would have thought that His Highness would be lost? His Highness said he wanted to drink milk tea, but the slave just turned around and His Highness disappeared. Your Majesty, please see clearly. I have not deceived you. Please see clearly, Your Majesty. The palace maid's head hit the ground, and she bled after a few blows. At that time, there were still guards behind him, but they were lost in the blink of an eye. When the queen heard that the prince was missing, she was so furious that she fainted. Fu Huizi pressed his eyebrows and asked someone to hire an imperial doctor for the queen. He announced that Uncle Guo would enter the palace overnight. When Yanchuan came in, the queen's eyes were almost swollen. He is only 1.5 years old. Who on earth can be so cruel and ruthless? Why are you attacking me? The child is innocent. The queen took the prince very seriously. Yanchuan frowned. Everyone knows that the first god has been destroyed between heaven and earth because of the sacrifice. The god realm suffered heavy losses due to the barrier. The two realms of demons and demons are already ready to move. Later, he discovered that the way of heaven was missing, but he was afraid of the incarnation of the way of heaven and did not dare to act recklessly. After decades of suppression, chaos will eventually break out. During this period, children are missing from time to time in the outside world. I am afraid that evil spirits may cause trouble. It's just that the evil spirit is cautious and has never made a move on the noble family. I haven't even gone into the city, I've always been in a mountain village on the edge. A deep fear of attracting attention. I kidnapped His Highness this time. I'm afraid I wasn't seeking revenge. He must have been kidnapped unintentionally. The queen was slightly relieved. As long as she was not seeking revenge, she still had a chance. Where is Sushui? Yanchuan asked. Don't disturb mother for the time being. Fu Huizi waved his hand, and his mother's remaining soul gathered together and she had to retreat every year to recuperate. The queen's eyes were red. Seeing that His Majesty sent people to investigate everywhere, she still couldn't feel at ease. Your Majesty, those evil spirits are the most vicious. What should you do? The queen walked around anxiously and couldn't eat. Yu is only 2 years old and can't even speak clearly. How much suffering will he have to endure? The queen couldn't stop crying. Fu Huizi sighed quietly. What should I tell you? Her father is the emperor, and he is also the most useless person in the family. Her aunt is the future heavenly Deo. Her grandmother was the first god. Her grandfather is the lord of the fallen angels. End of this chapter. My koi sister is 3.5 years old. Author, Xia Shengsheng. Chapter 482. Chapter 482, Tell the names of the whole family. How many times have I told you not to abduct children from rich families? Aren't there enough places in the back country for you to abduct? Do you have any brains as a horse rider? If you mess up my master's affairs, I will kill you." The woman's eyes were full of viciousness. "There are so many people living in remote areas that are worthless. How big of a splash can a movie about kidnapping a few girls make? This guy looks like he's either rich or noble." A mean woman pointed at a man's head, her index finger piercing his forehead. The woman's nails were sharp, and the man's forehead was covered with red marks when she poked them. The man with the sharp mouth and monkey cheeks had a somewhat gloomy look in his eyes, but he remained calm in the end. "Master is looking for someone who is smart and seems to be full of energy. This boy is worth 10. The man pointed at the little prince sitting on the ground eating his fingers. The little prince looked at him and grinned at him. There were about a dozen children and all of them had their mouths gagged. He huddled up in horror, his face covered with tears. He was the only one who could eat his fingers quietly without even tying them. He looked around, picked up a rope from the ground, and pointed at it with a grin. "Tie, tie, it's fun." The woman sneered, "Is this smart?" The man uttered an ouch, a little anxious. "Didn't the master give us a spirit testing bead? When I met this boy, the beads all lit up. Since we are going to make a big move, and these are the last batch of children, so what if he is either rich or noble? How can the power of his family be comparable to that of our venerables? Those are the best beings in the demon world. Once we cross the border, who can cross the mortal realm to arrest people?" The woman hesitated for a moment, picked up the spirit measuring bead, and saw the spirit measuring bead lighting up crazily. He nodded immediately. "Take it away and leave the mortal world overnight. Master has an order not to attract outside attention," the woman said with a cold face. The man with the sinister eyebrows and the rat face snorted, "In the past, mortals were the weakest, and we killed people like chickens. Just because the first god favored them, now we have to keep our tail between our legs. Fortunately, the old witch is dead. Even after his death, he still shocked the three worlds for decades. He is really powerful." "Not anymore." The woman looked gloomy for a moment. "Should we contact Lord Chaos?" the man asked in a low voice. "What are you asking him for?" "Traitor. Lackey. It was he who betrayed us back then, causing the two realms of demons and demons to be suppressed under the world of gods and mortals," the woman yelled angrily. "At that time, Chaos hated the first god the most. Unexpectedly, he became the lackey of the first god and went to the human world to help the first god take care of the two evil obstacles. If he hadn't stopped us, we would have killed those two evildoers long ago." The woman was filled with hatred. "Don't provoke them. At this critical moment, you must not attract their attention. A little impatience will ruin the big plan," the man advised in a low voice. The woman glanced at him sideways. "Do I still know? Although she is no longer the first god, the gods still respect her. Besides, I heard that the incarnation of Heaven's Deo has been found in the god realm. If Heaven's Deo returns, we will have no chance. Shi Shen is dead, and Fujuxiao no longer controls the fallen god realm. Even Chaos became the old witch's lackey. The world of fallen gods and the two realms of demons are now ready to move. The lack of the way of heaven means that the power to restrain the demons is no longer available. This is their last chance. We can't delay it any longer. We have to rush back before the way of heaven returns. The divine realm has hidden that Ling Miao venerable very well, haha, the incarnation of Tiandeo. We will find her sooner or later. Now the outside world only knows that the incarnation of Tiandeo is Ling Miao venerable, and the rest are unknown. Let's go and take them through the barrier. I tell you, if you don't stop, I will push you outside the barrier to feed the desolate beasts." The children cried even harder. To travel between the three realms, you need to pass through the barrier. Outside the barrier, there is desolation. Countless desolate behemoths hide inside. Back then, they were the ones who almost destroyed the small world. It was the first god who sacrificed and strengthened the barrier that saved the day. The woman pulled out the hairpin from her head, and when it hit the ground, it turned into a flying boat. If you are obedient, you will suffer less. You are all smart children and you should know what to do. These children are all children with spiritual energy selected using spirit testing beads. The children were untied and thrown into the corner of the flying boat. Sister, please, let me go home. My parents should be worried. Sister, please let me go back, I'm so scared. Please, I will be good. Can you let us go? The children were crying. Go back. If you get on this ship, you can't go back, the woman chuckled. My father is the village chief, let me go back quickly. If you don't let me go, he will definitely punish you and catch you, a little girl cried and shouted. Village chief? Hey, even if your father is the emperor, he can't take you back today. The woman chuckled and transformed into a fox from Kinkayu, with 5 big tails behind her. The little prince squatted in the corner and pointed his fingers. Ah, even the emperor and his father can't take me away. The little guy's face was a little worried. I have a grandmother who is a bit powerful. She said that people from all over the world can tell her name. Can you let me go? Before he could finish his stammering words, he was interrupted by the fox demon. No, what's the use of your grandma being so powerful? She's just a cliched old woman, and she actually brags to her children. What about my grandfather? Uncle Dumpling said that my grandfather was also very powerful, the little prince asked in a low voice. Hey, Uncle Dumpling, I still have wontons. The man rolled his eyes. The little prince rubbed his ears. His uncle's name was Chaos, not Wonton. No matter how powerful your grandfather is, he can't come to this world of fallen angels. Then I have an aunt. She said that she is in danger, so I can tell her her name, the little prince said. The man and woman looked at each other and laughed out loud. What's your aunt's name? The little prince said seriously, it's called Zion. Little guy, let me tell you, even if the King of Heaven comes, I won't even think of taking you away. Those powerful relatives of yours, get away as far as you can. After the woman finished speaking, she twisted her and walked away. If you fool a child, only the child will believe it. What kind of grandmother, grandfather, or aunt can let him go just by giving his name? How shameless you are! The little prince's tears suddenly fell down. Wow, we have you. Liars, all liars. As promised, we have you, tell me your name when you are in danger. We have you. The whole family is a liar. It's useless to report it. The little prince was very sad and felt that his whole family were all liars. It turns out it's not great at all. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My koi sister is 3.5 years old. Author, Xia Sheng. Chapter 483. Chapter 483. The whole family is a big boss. The little prince was sad. Feeling that I have been deceived. Just now I looked calm, thinking I could give the names of the whole family. It turned out that his whole family were liars. What's your name? How old are you? A 7 or 8-year-old girl came over and pulled him to a corner. The little prince was sobbing and his eyes were red. My family calls me Yor. I'm almost 2 years old. The little prince clapped his fingers. Where are you from? The young lady held his hand and hid in the corner of Yunzo. I am from Daewoo. The little prince sniffed. The young lady sighed. We are all from Dai Viet, and Dai Viet is very big. I am from Yunlai County, Jinchuan Prefecture. You are still young and you don't understand what a state or a government is. The little prince opened his eyes wide and said, I understand. My father said that all of Vietnam and Vietnam belong to our family. The young lady coaxed helplessly, yes, 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 it's all your family's fault. Stop crying, you'll suffer even more later. Follow me, we will definitely be found at home. The young lady's face turned pale as she looked at the frightened cries coming from all around the flying boat. Can I really go back? It's so scary here. They are all monsters, but their parents are ordinary children. The young lady was so frightened that she trembled all over, but she didn't dare to cry. Instead, he coaxed the younger brothers and sisters around him. She has the demeanor of an eldest sister. I am the eldest in my family, and I also have younger brothers and sisters, the young lady said in a low voice. Everyone didn't stay on the flying boat for long. After crossing the barrier, the weather became foggy. The dazzling sunlight seemed to be shrouded in a layer of fog, making the entire sky look dark. The children huddled in the corner. The moment the Yunzo stopped, countless demons gathered around it. Huji is back. The demons looked at the fox demon on the cloud boat and hurriedly stepped forward to salute. Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Huji. Is this the last batch? There was no accident, right? Huji twisted her waist in a charming way. How can there be an accident if I go out? Take them away, these are the last batch of children. The children started crying again. When the monsters came to their own territory, they no longer had any scruples. He immediately revealed the truth, scaring the children in the corner into panic and screaming. Scream again, and I will swallow you up in one bite. The snake demon spit out the letter and hovered in the air. The children were trembling with fear. The little prince looked at the snake and felt that it looked familiar. I think I saw it in the imperial grandfather's study. The little demons pushed the children off the flying boat, and the elves all looked at the children and swallowed their saliva. That's a boy. The most powerful thing is to repair demons. Eating one can increase one's strength by 10 years. These children are the best among children, born with spiritual energy. At least 20 years longer. Put away your hairs, this is for the new way of heaven. If there is even the slightest mistake, the two venerables can eat you alive. Huji touched the flower on her temples and was so frightened that the snake demon immediately transformed. Make human form. Sister Huji misunderstood, it's just that I haven't seen or smelled the boy's breath for a long time. We have been very frustrated these past few decades. Now that the first god is dead and the lord of the fallen angel realm is no longer in charge, this is our only chance. How dare the little demon do whatever he wants? Huji glanced at him. It's good that you know. The fallen angels realm originally unified the demon realm and the demon realm. The two worlds of demons and monsters are crawling at his feet. Later, Fujuxiao left the realm of the fallen angels, and no one could suppress him. The two realms of demons and monsters were separated again. This was their only chance. Since ancient times, the world of gods has been superior and regards us as evil spirits, and everyone will punish us. Tiandao is even closer to mortals and gods, but demons are not favored. Historically, Tiandao has always lived the same life as heaven. But this time, Tiandao is conceived in human form. When she transforms and ascends, this is our chance. Huji's eyes turned red, she twisted her waist and flew towards the main hall. Two venerables are already waiting in the main hall. Huji fortunately lived up to her mission and brought back 99 boys. The selection of boys and girls was extremely strict. It needs to match the 12 zodiac signs, and the horoscope also needs to be a person with the most positive yang. Your Majesty, please rest assured that all the boys and girls have not disturbed the big shots in the world. There will be no accidents. The two venerables stood in two directions of the main hall. On the left is the fox girl from the Kinkai Fox clan. With a delicate appearance and a charming look between her brows, she is the leader of the demon clan. The second one is the lord of the demons, who is called by all the demons to be the lord of demons. The way of heaven is close to the divine world and prefers the mortal world. It only targets the two realms of demons and demons. If the incarnation ascends to heaven and is contaminated with the blood of a child, it will attract evil spirits. At that time, the two venerables looked at each other, with unconcealable joy between their brows. Be prepared, don't make any mistakes. Don't attract Fujuxiao's attention. There was a bit of anger in the eyes of the two venerables. Fujuxiao. He is obviously the hope given by God to the two realms of demons and monsters. He can lead us to the top and conquer the mortal world and the divine world. But he fell down and was trapped by love. It really cost us tens of thousands of years of hard work. The fox demon's eyes were red and filled with blood. He unified the world of demons, and everyone surrendered to him. I thought he could conquer the god realm and unify the three realms. The result is that he is chasing the goddess. Don't provoke that lunatic, Demon Lord gritted his teeth. Back then, Fujuxiao unified the demon world and reused chaos. As an ancient monster, he was actually a snake, and he was reduced to the edge. After Fujuxiao left, chaos took control of the fallen angel realm again. Now that they are all gone, it is finally his turn to sit on the throne of the Demon Lord. At this moment, all the little guys were locked up in the back hall. All the children huddled together in a heap, trying to cheer each other up and cling to each other. The little prince held his stomach in pain, his stomach growling. When he saw his brothers and sisters huddled together, the little prince crawled out from the corner, knocked on the door and asked under the horrified eyes behind him. The little guy asked with a loud voice, "Uncle the pig demon at the door, can you have dinner? I'm hungry, my stomach hurts, I want to eat." A child cannot grow taller if he is hungry. With a creak, the door opened. The pig demon with a pig head and a human body looked at him. The white and tender little baby made the pig demon's mouth water. The children huddled in the corner, looking at the youngest brother in fear. "You can't be hungry, you need to eat," he rubbed his belly. The pig demon took one look and turned around and went out. Not long after, a pile of steamed buns and fruits were thrown in outside the door. Children were already starving and rushed forward to rob. The little prince's face was wrinkled. The young lady handed him the steamed buns, and he pushed them away. "Uncle, I want to eat meat." "Uncle, eat meat." The pig demon replied viciously, "No meat." The little thing really thought he was enjoying himself. The children were trembling with fear, but the little prince stared at the pig demon's head and blinked his eyes. "Uncle lies, he is not a good person." End of this chapter. My koi sister is 3.5 years old. Author, Xia Sheng. Chapter 484. Chapter 484, Skinning the Great Elder Alive. Are you really not going to eat something? You are still young, you will faint from hunger if you don't eat. They are all monsters, don't mess with them, they will eat people. The young lady pinched his little arms and legs. Why is this 2-year-old child so stubborn? Obviously I was so scared that I cried. Oh, by the way, he said he was not afraid. Because the whole family deceived him. Sad and crying. The little prince muttered, "Eating humans. We can also eat monsters." Sister glared at him, carefully held the steamed bun and hid it in her arms. Although life is good now, white flour steamed buns are still very expensive. Don't dare to talk nonsense, how can people eat monsters? Monsters have been eating people since ancient times, it's scary to think about it. The little prince did not speak. All the children cuddled in the corner after eating. Although they were frightened, they were also exhausted from the day. They all hugged each other and fell asleep. The little prince tiptoed and picked up a pot of flowers by the window, pinched a leaf and smelled it gently. The moment you crush the leaves, a faint fragrance appears in the room. What's wrong? The young lady was awakened by his movements. The leaves are slender, with teeth on the edges, and have a bitter taste, no peculiar smell when intact, but have a peculiar fragrance when crushed. The fragrance is pleasant and can create dreams. It's the dream grass. The little prince held it like a treasure. Dream grass? How do you know? The young lady was stunned for a moment. This is the demon world, and she has never seen such a thing. I saw it in my grandfather's study. There was a book in my grandfather's study. It was very thick and full of strange animals. There are also all kinds of exotic flowers and plants. Their habits, advantages, and disadvantages are all written down. He had nothing to do and flipped through it once or twice, and had already finished reading it. This place is similar to what was written in my grandfather's book. The weather was dark, crows were everywhere, and even the sun was stained with blood. Your grandfather still knows things from the demon world. Who is your grandfather? My grandfather is a love brain. He is a very good-looking love brain. The little prince nodded seriously. The young lady said oh, although she didn't know what it meant. Then he saw the little prince holding the flower pot and plucking all the leaves. Putting dream grass in the house can help you sleep. But all the leaves are crushed and the fragrance is diffused, which can put surrounding creatures into a drowsy state. The little prince pinched a paper ball for himself, blocked his nose, and pinched 2 more for the little sister. The young lady hesitated for a moment and finally blocked her nose. Sure enough, my brothers and sisters, who had not slept well just now, were snoring like thunder. Outside the door, 2 little monsters yawned while chatting. In a blink of an eye, he fell to the ground and fell asleep. The little prince opened the door, and the bright white moonlight fell on the ground, making the little guy look particularly cruel. The little guy looked up at the sky. Is it 15th today? Sister. The young lady looked at the sky and saw that the moon was still a little bit incomplete. The 15th moon is 16 round, so it should be 15 today. Where are you going? The young lady was a little scared. It happened that her little brother was walking around in the garden with ease. His familiar appearance made her temporarily forget her fear. Is this really your first time here? Yes, I have never left home. This is the first time I have left home, and I was abducted. Woo. The little prince said, pouting again, feeling homesick. I'm going to catch fish to eat. There is a pond over there with big fish in it. It's delicious. Do you know fish? He asked the young lady earnestly. Although the little sister is only 8 years old, she has already done farm work in the countryside, gathering pig grass for cooking. It's nothing to kill fish. I can cook fish fillets, grill fish. The little prince's eyes lit up. How do you know there is a lake over there? There are fish in the lake. The young lady was still surprised. The little prince did not explain. His eyes suddenly lit up. Lake, there really is a lake. A look of surprise appeared on his face. Looking like that, it's really my first time here. Miss Sister is a little confused. Hush, 1 stick of incense will patrol here once. The little prince tiptoed and hid behind the fake rocks. Sure enough, the patrol came. The young lady looked at him as if he were a god. Waiting for the patrol to leave, hurry up, under the arch bridge. The little prince ran towards the arch bridge in a hurry. The 2 of them searched under the arch bridge for a long time before they found a big and shining herring. The whole body of the big fish is cyan, with fragments of light floating on its scales. There is really a fish. It's so big, such a big fish. I've never seen such a big fish. The young lady was excited and incoherent. It's such a big fish. Miss Sister is a little scared. This is the demon world. What if it's a fish demon? The little prince took a branch and gently poked the big herring. The big herring was motionless. Oh, I really have to go to sleep every 15th day, the little guy muttered. Hurry, catch it quickly. I'm so hungry. He was weak and the fish's head was slippery, so he couldn't hold it. The young lady breathed a sigh of relief when she saw that there was nothing wrong with King Yu. She also wants to eat meat. Brother Yu, I'll come. She squatted down, hooked the cheeks of the herring, and used her strength to lift the herring up. She was so suppressed that her face turned red. This fish is so heavy. This fish is probably about the same as you. She gestured to the little prince and added the tail. Oh, It turned out to be similar to the little prince. The little prince's face darkened. I'm tall, I can grow. Okay, okay, you can grow, you are the tallest. The young lady didn't argue with him. This is not a good place. But where are we going to cook? The young lady was worried. The little prince waved his hand. Follow me. I know where the kitchen is. There was a topographic map drawn in my grandfather's room, but I don't know where he got the map. The little prince led his sister to turn left and right, and finally found a small kitchen in the corner. It is quite remote, no one will notice even if a fire is lit. There was a layer of dust in the kitchen, and the young lady wiped it clean in a few strokes. He picked up the kitchen knife and opened up the herring. Fortunately, everything here is complete. There are also some useful things, the young lady muttered. The kitchen knife fell on the fish and made a scraping sound. The kitchen knives are all sharpened. These fish scales are so strong, the young lady was shocked. Peel off the fish scales with your hands. The little prince pulled out the fish scales with a gentle pull. Wow, the fish scales are as big as a palm, so big each fish scale is as big as a palm, and it shines brightly, making it extremely beautiful. It must be very safe to make clothes out of it. The little prince scrubbed the fish scales clean and then found a bag to put them in. Although fish scales are tough, they are as thin as cicada wings and very light. When the young lady saw that the fish scales were peeled off, she quickly disemboweled the fish. One stroke of the knife. Suddenly, as if encountering some obstacle. Is there something in your stomach? The young lady muttered and dug out with her hand. He took out a small white stone. The small stone is crystal clear and looks like something extraordinary. What's this? Fish essence stone, right? I heard from grandma that if the fish lives for a long time, it will grow fish essence stones. The little prince was very calm. After all, this fish is, after all, the great elder of the demon world. End of this chapter. My koi sister is 3.5 years old. Author, Xia Sheng. Chapter 485. Chapter 485. The Elders on the Chopping Board. What is the use of fish essence stone? The young lady was a little curious. This stone is cool to the touch, but it looks very nice. Warning off evil spirits. The little prince nodded. The little prince put the things away, and the young lady split the fish in twos and twos, making half of the fish into grilled fish and the other half into fish fillets. It's a pity that I don't have enough strength to make fish balls. The fish are very delicious when cooked in soup. The young lady swallowed. This fish tastes so good. I'll go and close the doors and windows so that outsiders won't smell it. This grilled fish will be covered with a lid and taken back later. There are so many people, it will be eaten in 2 times. Stew the fish head into soup, half of it is grilled fish, and half of it is fish fillet, and we'll eat it here. The little girl really works a lot, and she does things very quickly. I am taking care of my mother during her confinement period. I am good at making soup, so don't worry. The little girl separated the fish in a few clicks. This fish is really strange, its heads are all crystal clear. Moreover, they have big thorns, and the meat is relatively raw and tender. The little prince grinned straightly. If someone absorbs the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, then of course his meat will be tender. The young lady found a casserole and made a pot of fish head soup. It's a pity that there is no flour and tofu, otherwise it would be delicious if stewed in it. Yeah, there is a handful of vermicelli here. There was some vermicelli left in the corner of the kitchen cabinet. After the young lady washed it, she put in the fish soup. The little prince opened the door, secretly went out, pinched 2 handfuls of small leaves, came back, and put them into the pot. This fragrance is getting stronger and stronger. What did you put in it? It smells so good, it's like nothing I've ever smelled before. Well, a kind of vanilla. I saw it in my grandfather's book. The young lady smiled, took a small bowl, and each of them drank a bowl, feeling a little better in their stomachs. He also cooked a bowl of fish fillets in the fish soup. The fish fillet has no spines, is tender and refreshing, and the little prince's stomach feels round after eating it. The casserole of fish fillets was not finished yet. Take them all back, the young lady was very strong. After cooking the grilled fish, she found a basket in the house and barely put the fish in it. The little prince's face turned red from suppressing his emotions, and he was holding a basket. The young lady is holding the pot. The two of them put out the fire in the room, touched their mouths, wiped away the grease, then opened the door and ran away sneakily. They will be very happy. You are so amazing, you know everything. Your grandfather is also great, although he is a love brain. The little prince pursed his lips in happiness. The two secretly returned to the house and hurriedly poked the brothers and sisters awake. The brothers opened their eyes drowsily. What's wrong? What's wrong? It seemed that they all fell asleep and returned home in their dreams. When they opened their eyes and returned to reality, fear began to spread again. We are back with delicious food, don't be afraid, don't be afraid. Don't make any noise, everyone. My brother Ewer and I have brought back meat. Everyone queues up to drink. They brought 3 bowls and many chopsticks. When the child heard this, he held back his tears. I haven't finished eating the steamed buns just now, I want to eat them with steamed buns. Okay, come on, the pig demon will wake up later. The eldest child let his younger brothers and sisters eat first, while they lay on guard by the door. They are the last group of children, and there are more than 20 children in this group. The children took turns eating fish and meat, mixed with half a steamed bun hidden during the day, and temporarily forgot their fear. I have never eaten such delicious fish, so tender, so fresh. There are only a few pieces of and a few leaves in this fish soup, and the fragrant tongue can't wait to swallow it. Even the soup at the bottom of the bowl was wiped clean with steamed buns. More than 20 kilograms of fish, including soup, fish meat, and steamed buns, the children ate them up. After eating, my eyes felt refreshed and most of my fear was gone. After eating this fish, I seem to have strength. My whole body seems to be full of strength. Maybe I have been hungry for too long. I eat vegetarian food every day. After being caught, I was not allowed to eat any meat or fish. The fox demon talks about the boy asking for a vegetarian diet every day. I feel warm after eating, and I'm not cold anymore. My belly feels warm, like a fire. It feels so comfortable, the child burped. After arriving in the demon world, my body was bitingly cold. After drinking this bowl of soup, I feel really warm all over and my mind seems to be clear. The children couldn't describe the feeling, they just felt comfortable. The young lady's eyes filled with excitement. It was Xiao Yuer who led me to catch him. Seeing that everyone liked it, Yuer nodded with a smile. I'll find food for everyone tonight. Don't cry, everyone. My family is very powerful. After hesitating for a day, the little prince decided to trust his family a little. They will definitely come to save us, he said with certainty. After all, he is the future emperor. There is only one emperor, so why should he be saved? Yes, 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 we all know it. Your grandfather, your grandmother, your parents, and your aunt are all the best in the world. Everyone had seen him break down and cry, and they hurriedly comforted his little brother. He is the youngest child in this group. Everyone favored him unconsciously. The little prince grinned. I took out the fish scales from my pocket. Although I was a little reluctant to part with them, I also knew that my brothers and sisters needed the scales very much. 1 piece for each person, close to the body and hidden. These fish scales can at least protect them. The Great Elder is an ancient monster, and the fish scales are magic weapons that can protect them. He tiptoed and brought in the flower pot that was outside the door, and buried the crushed leaves into the soil. He also asked people to open the windows to diffuse the smell. Only half an hour. There was no smell in the room. The pig demon arched his nose. What a bad thing, I almost fell asleep. Get up quickly. He woke up with a start and hurriedly opened the door and entered. Seeing that the children were all in the house, he breathed a sigh of relief. Strange, why did you sleep so soundly today? The pig demon yawned, and seeing all the children sleeping soundly and with rosy faces, he retreated again. I cried so much before going to bed, yet I fell asleep so soundly. Children are really big-hearted. The fox demon even asked me to watch over me carefully, so why should I be careful? How can a group of children turn the world upside down? Mainly said two sentences. As soon as he exited the door, the children opened their eyes. They cheered each other up and then fell asleep again. The next day, the fox demon came again, twisting his waist. What did you eat yesterday? The fox demon asked outside the door. Don't worry, you won't get any of what you shouldn't have. Yesterday, I only gave you steamed buns and snacks. The boy who was given to heaven must eat vegetarian food to keep his soul clean and free from meat and fish. We all understand the truth and must not be contaminated by evil spirits, the pig demon said flatteringly. Master Protector, have you woken up? The fox demon asked again. Not yet. The great elder has to retreat for 3 days every August 15th. There are still 2 days before he comes out. Those 3 days are when it is most dangerous and weak. No one in the demon world can trust it. Its hiding place is unknown. There are 4 great protectors and 4 great elders in the fallen angel realm. The 4 protectors are Chaos, Kyanki, Demon Lord, and Nine-Tailed Fox. They all died in ancient times. Originally, the King Kyu Nine-Tailed Fox had been merged into the divine realm. However, the Nine-Tails clan was dissatisfied with their lower status than the Phoenix and Dragon clans, so they rebelled against the God realm that year. Now, both Chaos and Kyanki follow Fujuxiao. The Nine-Tailed Fox controls the demon world. The Demon Lord takes control of the demon world and separates the demons again. The 4 elders are Kanyao, Jiaolong, Split Tianxi and Cai Fengling. Cai Fengling is a branch of Phoenix, but they only have some Phoenix blood. They were all Fujuxiao's right-hand men back then. The fox demon hummed and asked someone to open the door. Drive them all out and sit cross-legged in the center of the formation. The fox demon's fingers were slender and her nails were as red as blood. Children are instinctively afraid of her when they see her. Most of them were abducted by her. The children vaguely surrounded Xiao Yu in the middle, spontaneously protecting this little brother. The fox demon raised his eyebrows, and all the children in the 4 courtyards were released, and there were nearly 100 of them. The most surprising thing is, all the children in the courtyard were crying. Only the one who was just kidnapped yesterday was particularly energetic and didn't cry at all. I woke up after a night's sleep, my cheeks were rosy, and most of the fear in my eyes was gone. The fox demon looked at them suspiciously. He called the pig demon over again and asked him about everything in detail. Still no problems found. All the children sat in the center crying. The formation immediately glowed with light. The children were sitting inside, and the fox demon was outside making spells and casting spells. The children's cries of pain became louder and louder. Xiao Yu and others only felt a little uncomfortable and had not cried out yet. I felt my chest was burning so much that all the uncomfortable breaths were eliminated. The fox demon saw that they did not cry, but his face turned a little pale. He just thought he was pretending to be strong, which relieved some of his uneasiness. Keep them under strict guard. No one is allowed to touch them. The fox demon looked stern. There are still 3 days left before we can offer sacrifices to heaven. You must not be tainted with evil spirits. Yes. After the fox demon finished giving instructions, he held his waist and left. Xiao Yu touched her belly and glanced at the sky. Tonight, shall we eat the 2nd elder or the 3rd elder? The 4 elders who control the demon world are just like the dishes he can choose from in the kitchen. Let him choose. Who let him know the weaknesses of the entire demon world? End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My koi sister is 3.5 years old. Author, Xia Sheng. Chapter 486. Chapter 486 Dragon Meat in the Sky. By the way, I think that boy is better. Before leaving, the fox demon pointed at Xiao Yuer. The fox demon's eyebrows showed a bit of joy. Unexpectedly, I picked up a treasure. If this child were to practice Taoism, he would be a natural spiritual being. Mortals can actually have such outstanding immortal bones. Using him as the core of the formation will definitely achieve twice the result with half the effort. Using the grievances of these children before their death mixed with their blood to offer sacrifices to heaven will surely bring evil to the way of heaven. Yes, we brothers are watching carefully in front of the door. Even the flies can't fly out. The pig demon finished speaking flatteringly, and then he locked the children back in a vicious manner. I am scared. Can we really go home? It's so scary here. They are all monsters that eat people. The children's originally calm hearts were filled with fear. The brothers and sisters next door are all cold, they are almost dead. Are we going to die too? The children huddled together in fear with tears in their eyes. The young lady sniffed and held back tears. Brother Yuer, are you afraid? The young lady asked him secretly. The little prince was stunned. Don't be afraid, I'm thinking about what to eat at night. Yesterday we ate fish. Today we eat dragon, snake or chicken. Yesterday's herring was a kun monster. Should we eat dragons or colorful phoenix feathers today? I heard that snake meat is as delicious as dragon meat in the sky. The chickens here are also different from the outside world. The little face is very distressed. Everyone was disturbed by him. You two are juniors, let's go with you tonight. You are weak and can't lift anything. Two elder brothers, aged 11 or 12, wiped their tears and spoke with strength. The children discussed it and decided happily. I immediately began to look forward to getting dark. The sky is getting dark and everything is silent. Xiao Yuer held the flower pot in her arms and thought for a while, her eyes brightening. He took out the fish essence stone in his pocket. This is Kunpeng's fish essence stone. It is a great treasure. Seeing a few cups on the table, he pretended to bump into them accidentally. What are you doing? The pig demon rushed in hurriedly. Seeing that his forehead was red and he looked like he was about to cry, the pig demon spat and asked someone to come and clean him. The little prince secretly hid a fragment in his sleeve. After the guards left, several children took turns grinding until late at night, until their hands were numb, and then half of the fish essence stone was ground into powder. Enough is enough. Fish essence stone can deter evil spirits. Speaking of which, it is really interesting that the four elders of the demon world scare each other. Kunpeng's fish essence stone can frighten the dragon's dragon tendons can bind the colorful phoenix feathers, and the blood of the colorful phoenix feathers can make Split Tianxi temporarily lose his cultivation. Restrict each other and contain each other. That's enough, that's enough. Brothers, come with me to Ang in the evening. The little prince carefully put the fish essence stone into his arms. Always waiting and waiting. The other children all started to doze off. The little prince crushed the grass and let the pig demon sleep. Follow me, brothers and sisters. He only brought 3 people with him. The dragon was a bit big, and he and the little sister were not strong enough. Several children took advantage of the moonlight to sneak out of the door. Follow me, be careful. The little guy avoided the guards all the way and headed towards a sparsely populated area. Did you hear anything? The guard suddenly stopped and listened. The children's breath was stagnant, so the little prince picked up a stone and threw it into the water, making a splashing sound. He then asked his brothers and sisters to take out the fish scales, and the pressure belonging to the Great Elder suddenly swept over him. Great Elder. This subordinate deserves to die for bumping into the Great Elder. Several guards fell to their knees in an instant. After a while, several guards saw that there was no sound, and then they cautiously retreated. The young lady was so frightened that she was sweating profusely. The little prince was very calm. He pursed his lips and walked through the demon palace with his brothers and sisters. He can always find all kinds of secret passages hidden in corners, and can always avoid all guards safely. It's amazing. After walking for about half an hour, the children were all out of breath, and the little prince stopped. "Is that a hot spring? It seems to be smoking." The young lady pointed not far away. The little prince quickly walked towards the pond and poured the fish essence stone powder in his arms into the pond. Before I could leave, I felt a huge shadow falling from the sky. The little prince made a splash and jumped into the water. The brothers and sisters were so frightened that they covered their mouths in fear. A black dragon is so huge that it can almost cover the sky and the earth. A small mortal is like a small ant in front of it. Miss Sister is about to faint. He is talking about snacks. Is this the dragon? The dragon turns into a meter in size when it touches the water and swims in the water. Who? The dragon suddenly revealed its head and mouthed human words. His copper bell-like eyes stared in the direction of several children. With a thud, the children were frightened by the pressure and fell to the ground. "A few little bugs are just a midnight snack for me," the dragon roared, and before it could fly out of the pond, it suddenly felt powerless. His power is disappearing rapidly. "What's going on, little evil boy, what have you done?" Xiao Yuer puffed out and spat out the water in her mouth. A little head popped out of the pool and crawled out of the pool using both hands and feet. "You little mortal, how dare you take action against me? Is it Kunpeng's breath?" Kunpeng's fish essence stone. By the time he reacted, the fish essence stone had already entered its body along the water. The dragon fell to the ground helplessly. "Bring a knife quickly and bleed it." The fish essence stone can only control it for half an hour. The little prince was so cruel that he found a knife somewhere. "It looks like something extraordinary." The young lady was trembling with fear, but, "It is a monster, it is alive. It's a dragon, it's a dragon." The young lady was about to collapse. "It's not a dragon, it's a dragon. It will never be able to become a divine dragon in its lifetime. It feeds on mortals, and its body is full of resentment and evil. It cannot become a divine dragon. If you don't eat it, when it wakes up, it will eat us." The little prince sighed, only complaining that he was young and could not lift the knife. The little brother next to him gritted his teeth. "Why are monsters allowed to eat only mortals? We can also eat monsters." After saying that, he picked up the knife and stabbed it in. Pure blood flowed out, and Xiao Yuer hurriedly picked up a bucket to catch it. A few people worked together to drag the dragon all the way to the small kitchen. After struggling for more than an hour, the skin and flesh were barely separated. "Is this the dragon tendon? It's golden." The little brother handed the dragon tendon to the little prince. The little prince didn't lie to them either. "It's the dragon tendon. I'll use it to catch chickens for you tomorrow." The brothers and sisters twitched their mouths. "The snake you mentioned is a dragon. What is the chicken you are talking about?" End of this chapter. My koi sister is 3.5 years old. Author, Xia Sheng. Chapter 487. Chapter 487. The elder is in the pot. The brothers and sisters didn't ask. They are all going to die anyway, so it's good to be a dead ghost. A few children were busy all night, and it was not until dawn that the dragon meat was barely cooked. "Hide half of the meat in the water tank and cook dragon and phoenix soup at night." The little prince held the bowl and nodded. Literally dragon and phoenix soup. They quickly put out the fire, hid half of the raw meat, and then took the rest away, returning almost at a trot. Finally, he finished eating all the dragon meat before dawn. "I'm not hungry even after eating one meal a day. These meals are really filling," one child expressed emotion. Several brothers and sisters gave me a slap in the face, and their laughter was uglier than their crying. Can you ignore being full? What you are eating is a dragon. Yesterday it was said to be Kunpeng, the legendary Kunpeng. He will also prepare dragon and phoenix soup for everyone tonight. It was obvious that they had been trafficked, but their complexions were getting better and better, which was obvious to the naked eye. Compared with the other group of children who were skinny, and full of determination, the gap was huge. So big that the fox demon looked at them without blinking. The children nervously returned to the house hand in hand. The fox demon looked at their backs eagerly. These boys have secrets, the fox demon muttered. There is really no accident. The brothers have been guarding outside. The pig demon died of grievance. The fox demon looked at him coldly. Have you really never left, slept, or made any mistakes? You swear an oath to the Lord of the fallen God realm. This is equivalent to swearing an oath in the God realm using the way of heaven. The pig demon's expression changed slightly. The fox demon's face suddenly darkened. The pig demon knelt down and said, "The little demon doesn't know what's going on. He feels sleepy every night. When it's dawn, the brothers also look like this. I beg the fox demon empress not to punish me. The little demon must be on duty tonight." The fox demon's face was extremely ugly. "Don't alarm anyone. I want to see what's going on tonight." The fox demon flicked his sleeves and looked gloomy. "Tomorrow is an opportunity, and there must be no surprises. Have you contacted the first elder and the second elder?" The monster behind him shook his head. "For some reason, the second elder cannot be contacted today." "Where are you going at this critical moment?" The fox demon gritted his teeth slightly. As soon as the children returned to the house, they all touched their hearts and said, "It's so scary. Did that fox find something? She kept looking at us, it was so scary. I heard from the brothers and sisters next door that tomorrow is the day we die." The children's tone became lower again. The little prince pursed his lips and his face fell. There were also some tears in my eyes. "Don't be afraid, don't be afraid, Yor is not afraid. Dad said that you must survive under any circumstances. Live and persevere." Xiao Yor sniffed and tried to cheer herself up. "I'm not afraid, Yor is not afraid, not at all." His voice was trembling and tears filled his eyes. "Dad, mother, grandparents, aunt, and uncle, when will you come? Yor can't hold on any longer." Yor touched the dragon tendon in his arms, which still contained half of the fish essence stone, and felt calm. "Before you die, you must be a full-fledged ghost. It's not a loss if you die before you're full." Xiao Yor touched her belly. At night, the four children were still walking together. It's just that a few people were not in a high mood. After all, tomorrow was the day of death, so everything seemed boring. Only the little prince is still in high spirits. This time, Kaifeng caught it particularly smoothly. After all, the dragon tendons were her weakness, binding her so tightly that she couldn't move at all. "Who are you? Why are there dragon tendons? Where is the second elder?" Feathers all over the body were struggling to fly around. Miss Sister likes beautiful feathers, so she hurriedly collected them. "The second elder is waiting for you." As soon as he finished speaking, he wiped the colorful phoenix feathers on his neck. The pure phoenix blood aura overflowed, and several children hurriedly picked up pots and pans to catch it. "It's really dragon and phoenix soup, real dragon and phoenix." The little brother took a deep breath. Where did they get the courage? It's worth dying. "Phoenix feathers are magic weapons, don't throw them away," the little prince shouted in a sweet voice. "Is this a real dragon and phoenix?" The young lady was very curious. "No, real dragons and phoenixes are recognized by heaven and are treasures in the divine world. They are just stained with the blood of dragons and the blood of phoenixes. Moreover, they do not practice well and feed on mortals. They have already become evil. You saw all this from your grandfather's books. Is your grandfather really an ordinary person?" The little prince's cheeks twisted. The prince, is he considered ordinary? It looks ordinary anyway. The bigger the fire, the harder it will be cooked. The little brother took the kitchen knife and chopped it quickly, then threw it into the pot in 2 strokes. I can smell the aroma. The lady also used phoenix oil to fry the meat until a thin layer of oil came out. The skin is lightly browned and stir-fried constantly in the pan. As soon as the water was poured in, the pot made a gurgling sound. The soup instantly turned milky white. Cut 2 slices of and add nothing else. The taste is very delicious. This tastes better than the last 2 days. I have gained weight in the past few days since I was abducted. It smells so good. Oh, I'm afraid I can't even close the doors and windows with this smell. This dish is indeed a famous dish in the 3 realms. The children squatted in front of the stove, drooling. The little prince played with the dragon tendon. This thing is really spiritual, and it moves according to his thoughts. The demon world is like a kitchen, you can eat whatever you want. The young lady held her face and sighed quietly. Several brothers glanced at her. It was because of Xiao Yuer. I don't know if my parents know that I'm missing. Are your parents going to be very anxious? I will never run around again once they calm down. Children like to think nonsense. I shed tears just thinking about it. While I was crying, I heard hurried footsteps coming from outside the door. Several children stood up suddenly. Bang dang, the door was kicked open. The fox demon led a group of spirits and stood at the door with a gloomy face. Sure enough, there's something fishy about you. Those idiots can't even look down on a child. When the fox demon got angry, its beautiful face turned into a fox look. The young lady was so frightened that she screamed. You are very courageous at a young age. Come here, tie them all up and put them in a dungeon. The fox demon caught a glimpse of a piece of feather on the ground, stepped forward and bent down to twist it. He frowned slightly. Go and find the Phoenix Master. Cai Fengling didn't like people saying she was inferior to the Phoenix, so she named herself the Phoenix Master in the demon world. After a while, the turtle spirit came back in panic. The Phoenix Hall is full of feathers, but the Phoenix Master is nowhere to be seen. The fox demon looked a little ugly. In the past few days, the Great Elder, the Second Elder, and the Third Elder all seemed to have problems. She felt a little uneasy in her heart. Where is the Phoenix Master? Where is the Phoenix Master? Where did you get Fei Yu from? Why don't you tell me quickly? The fox demon suddenly transformed into a huge fox head and shouted viciously at the children. The head disintegrated directly in front of them, scaring several children into crying. The little prince looked at the pot. It's open. The pot is open and the aroma is filling the air. Fox demon, what? In the pot? What pot? The fox demon simply lost his patience. The little prince said slowly, Elder, it's in the pot. The second elder and the third elder are all in the pot. End of this chapter. My koi sister is 3.5 years old. Author, Xia Sheng. Chapter 488. Chapter 488. No one can take him away. Gudong. The pot is boiling, emitting steam. The house is filled with fragrance and a lot of spiritual energy. Everyone sniffed and swallowed unconsciously. What did you say? The fox demon's eyes widened and he even took 2 steps closer. Is she hallucinating? What nonsense is this kid talking about? I said, it's time to add salt. The dragon and phoenix soup is ready. He pointed to the pot. The fox demon's fingers were trembling, and his charming waist no longer twisted. Instead, he had to hold onto the edge of the stove to stand steady. The corners of the fox demon's mouth trembled. Is the elder in the pot? She couldn't believe it. But the pot is overflowing with energy. That boy was holding a yellow-orange stick in his hand. What's that in your hand? The fox demon's voice trembled. Your second elder's dragon tendons are so strong he even pulled them carefully twice. The fox demon took a deep breath and felt a chill rising from the soles of his feet. What is that bead? Her eyes fell on the half-transparent bead on the fingertips of the little prince. There was a scent on it that was familiar to her. Your great elder's fish essence stone. You don't even recognize it. The little prince was still a little surprised. The fox demon's body softened and he almost fell to the ground. She tremblingly opened the lid of the pot, and the steam from the lid spread out, and the rich aroma suddenly hit her face. The little prince immediately came over carrying a basin and a small spoon. It's time to eat, it's time to eat. The little prince's face was full of excitement. Longfang soup, the real dragon and phoenix soup. A sound of wow. The fox demon immediately burst into tears and burst into tears. It's your fault, the fox demon cried and scolded at the same time. Why don't you invite the demon lord to come over quickly? Something happened to the elder. The elders are all familiar. The fox demon never expected that the meat in the pot was really the meat of dragons and colorful phoenixes. What have you done? Who are you? Who are you? The fox demon suddenly came back to his senses. Stay far away from the little prince, not even daring to get even half a step closer. The little prince didn't care about her. He stepped on the stool and scooped up a pot of meat. Several brothers and sisters took it tremblingly and couldn't help but take a sip. I am your. You abducted it yourself, aren't you sure? Xiao Yu raised her lips and took several sips. The demon lord came very quickly. The two of them looked extremely ugly when they landed. Just now I broke open the palace of two people, and the life lamp inside was broken, therefore, the three elders were all dead. The fox demon trembled, and all the spirits knelt down. It's my subordinate's fault, please punish me. The fox demon only has 5 tails, and the demon lord is a 9-tailed fox, so she is naturally afraid. The demon lord glanced at her lightly and ignored her. He only stepped forward condescendingly, his face full of bloodthirsty killing intent. It's such a little thing that took the lives of 3 elders, it's really ridiculous. They are all great monsters that have been around for thousands of years, but they were killed in the hands of a 2-year-old child. Isn't that ridiculous? The demon master waved his hand, and all the spirits behind him were reduced to ashes. The fox demon lowered his head even further. He seems to know the weaknesses of the elders, the fox demon whispered. Demon lord narrowed his eyes slightly. My lord, why do you think he looks familiar? It seems like you have seen him somewhere. The demon lord sneered. No matter where I saw him, I can't take him away even if the king of heaven comes. Come here, lock him up in the 9-layered demon tower. It's no use to anyone. I want him to die in there. No one dared to persuade the demon lord in anger. The fox demon's lips moved, but he did not dare to mention that he would be sacrificed to heaven tomorrow. Just keep a breath. Let him suffer some hardships in the 9 layers demonic tower before he dies. It was filled with felons from the 2 realms of demons and demons. It's my fault. I killed him. Yuer was only 2 years old. It wasn't him. The young lady's teeth chattered in fear, but she still mustered up the courage to stand in front of the little prince. Snap! The fox demon kicked her away. Sister, little sister. The little prince became angry and his eyes were red with anger. I'll fight with you. The little guy was so angry that he rushed towards the fox demon, but the fox demon raised his hand to stop him. Unexpectedly, he actually passed through the fox demon's barrier, rushed in, and tore off a piece of flesh from the back of the fox demon's hand. Ah! You bastard! The fox demon didn't even try to shake him off. The little prince, whose mouth was full of blood, was knocked away by the demon lord with a palm. Lock him in. Demon lord became angry. Yes. The little prince fell to the ground and was dragged away. Send these children back and tie them all up. This time the fox demon asked someone to open the door and look directly at each other. Monster lord, something seems wrong with this kid. How could he pass through the little demon? He ate dragon spirit, phoenix gallbladder, and Kunling. How can you compare him with the three great elders? The demon lord didn't care. The fox demon thought about it, and that was true. But her eyelids were twitching extremely hard for some reason. It seems like something big has happened, which makes people feel uneasy. Looking at the little figure being dragged away, Demon Lord felt that he looked very familiar. It looks familiar, where have you seen it before? The Demon Lord couldn't see his cautious look, and immediately sneered, so what if I've seen him before? This kid is full of spiritual energy. He also knows the weaknesses of the three elders. I'm afraid he is also a descendant of the gods. What about the descendants of the gods? Can they still control the demon world? Let alone the descendants of the gods, even if the gods come in person, what are we afraid of? They can't even think of taking this kid away. They don't take ordinary little gods in their eyes at all. That's right, the two looked at each other and smiled. The next day, it was dark. The children were dragged out, their clothes were dragged off, and various primitive patterns were painted on their skin with blood. Looking from a distance, it looks like he is wearing a full set of clothes. How is that kid doing in the 9-layer demonic tower? The demon lord sat on the high platform. Sacrifice was offered in the 12th lunar month, but today they will personally sit in command. Are you crying for your father and mother to come out? Demon Lord also asked. The fox demon's lips parted, and his throat seemed to be stuck. After he entered, he kept smiling, seemed very happy. Which floor is he on? The demon lord sat up straight, a little surprised. The first floor of the 9-layered demon tower is the little demon who does all kinds of evil. Going up to the 9th floor is the ancient demon. They are all characters who can destroy a small world with a wave of their hands. The god of creation and Fujuxiao worked together to seal it, and it was locked up for tens of thousands of years, and no one could get out. This meeting has already reached the 9th floor. Also awakened the sleeping demon. The fox demon said bravely. The big demon ate him. The demon lord raised his eyebrows. This kid is quite capable of being a demon, and he actually climbed to the 9th floor? If he was eaten, wouldn't there be one missing? That's not true. The big devil told him stories to make him happy. He also said a few words of kindness to him, and he changed everything. Everything was changed. Crazy. At this moment, Demon Lord's eyelids were twitching wildly. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My koi sister is 3.5 years old. Author, Xia Sheng. Chapter 489. Chapter 489 Return of Heaven, Part 1. By the time the two demon masters rushed over, the little prince had already been coaxed to sleep. The demon king is floating in mid-air. I saw that the great demon who once looked down upon the world was carefully covered with a small quilt. It's unbelievably gentle. What's going on? Demon Lord felt a sudden sense of crisis in his heart, and he always felt that something had gone wrong. The little prince leaned on the big devil's lap. The demon lord looked at that side face, suddenly. His pupils trembled, and the fear spread in his heart. I know who he looks like. Quick, bring him out. The demon lord suddenly changed his expression. Seeing that the demon lord did not take action, he immediately called the people out. Hold the child and ran to the main hall. In the innermost part of the hall, there is a statue of a enshrined. It's just that the whole body of the statue is black, not as bright as the gods. There is also a painting hanging in the center of the statue. The demon tremblingly pointed at Fujuxiao's portrait and asked, "Look, do you think they look alike?" This profile of the face, these eyebrows and eyes are actually 3 to 4 points similar. The demon lord felt a chill in his heart. Impossible, his child has succeeded to the throne. I saw the full moon back then, and he was already over 20 years old. Demon Lord rejected it. Just as the little prince wiped his saliva, he opened his eyes drowsily. As soon as I opened my eyes, I saw the hanging portrait. Woo woo woo, Grandpa, Grandpa, I want Grandpa. Grandpa, have you come to save me? The little prince struggled and jumped down, running towards the statue. Hold the statue and cried. Grandpa, we of you woo, little you misses you so much. Grandma, grandfather, father, mother, and, help, 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 the little guy cried and shouted. Monster Lord. He. The demon lord took a step back, his fingers trembled, and he pointed at Xiao Yuer, who was trembling and his face turned pale. So, he is the grandson of the creator god and the fallen angel. The demon lord was almost crying. Hurry, hurry, hurry up and send him away. Now, now. Quickly coax him to stop crying, stop crying. The demon lord hurriedly stepped forward to coax him, but the little guy cried more and more. No, send him away quickly. Wherever the demon lord still remembers his words at this moment, no one can take him away. Now, she just wants to send him away immediately. Haven't left the main hall yet. A breath of terror descended. It's too late. The demon lord only felt numb all over, and a breath of destruction was approaching. It's the Deo of Heaven. Why did the incarnation of the Deo of Heaven appear? The demon lord took a deep breath. Hurry, set up the formation. The incarnation of Heavenly Deo has appeared in advance. It's really a bad day today. Why is it so unlucky? A formation was being set up quickly outside, but a white figure was heading straight towards here. It is the incarnation of the way of heaven, it is the incarnation of the way of heaven. Heaven has mercy. Is it God who allows the way of heaven to favor us this time? If the way of heaven is infected with evil before ascending, it will spontaneously prefer the two realms of demons and demons in the future. At this moment, the incarnation of Heavenly Deo actually came over in person. Wouldn't it be easier to get it? Don't provoke her, don't let her guard against the devil. You must leave a good impression on her. Before he finished speaking. Then I heard the little prince in his arms, wiping his tears, shouting in an aggrieved voice, Auntie, why are you here so late? Little aunt. The demon lord was startled. The demon lord was stunned. Suddenly, the little guy in his arms seemed to be snatched away by some force. He flew away from the demon lord's arms and fell straight into the hands of the white figure. Fu Ziyan hugged the prince and patted him on the back. Auntie, you finally came to save me. I thought I'd never see you again. Grandpa, we of you, Grandma, Daddy, you are all here. The little prince raised his head and saw his kind grandfather looking at the two great sages with a solemn face. The two great venerables felt that their breathing had stopped. They are all here. They are all here. It's over, it's all over. The fallen angel is his grandfather, the first god is his grandmother, and Tiandeo is his aunt. They took the wrong turn. Abducted the most immobile child in the world. The two of them lowered their heads and knelt down as soon as their knees became weak. No wonder all the ancient demons in the 9-layer demon tower begged him to say good things. It's because I'm blind. We can explain. The demon lord dared not quibble, he just prayed for forgiveness. The Tide children were stunned, and so were the spirits underneath. That naughty kid actually. He said that his grandparents and aunts are very powerful. It turns out it's true. He also said that the father is the least promising in the whole family. Everyone was speechless. The emperor was the most hopeless one? After all, his father is the least promising, someone said in a low voice. Everyone was shocked. Fu Ziyan held the child in one hand and said solemnly, all living beings in the three realms are equal. The two realms of demons and demons jumped over the barrier and harmed the living beings in the world. Give them death. With a wave of his hand, a majestic and fierce force surged from the sky and the earth, and the two venerables were instantly wiped out. The mark between Fuzian's eyebrows became more and more obvious. Between heaven and earth, and in the three realms, a fairy sound appeared. The faint golden light came down from the sky, dispelling the lingering depression and hostility in the demon world. Yan Sushui's eyes suddenly turned red. The time is coming. Her child is about to achieve enlightenment in the three realms. Fuzian put the little prince down, and the little prince ran to his grandmother. Yan Sushui picked him up. "Grandma, what's wrong with you?" The little prince hurriedly wiped his grandmother's tears. Grandma looked at my aunt in a daze. "Auntie, what's going on? Wow, there's so much golden light." The demon world, which was barren of grass, actually sprouted a few brilliant flowers under the golden light. "Eliminate all the fatigue and pain on the children. Look, is that the Nantian gate? Oh my God, the world of gods has opened." The crowd screamed and exclaimed. I saw a majestic gate appearing in the sky, and the sky was filled with majestic gods. The Emperor of Heaven and the Queen Mother stood first. Leading all the gods, they stood respectfully on both sides. "Please let the way of heaven return. Please ask the way of heaven to return to its throne, eliminate the evil spirits in the three realms, and protect the peace and tranquility of the four seas. Please return the law of heaven, eliminate the evil spirits in the three realms, and protect the peace of the world." Everyone's voices merged into one sentence, which was a reassuring and exciting force. A circle of light surrounded Fuzian. Sushui's tears fell brightly, and Fuzian's feet lifted off the ground uncontrollably. She turned towards her mother and bowed before her. A daughter is unfilial and cannot fulfill her filial piety in front of her parents. From now on, every flower, every drop of rain, and every gust of wind around her mother will be my daughter's longing for you. Farewell, my daughter. Please take care of your parents." The moment she finished speaking, she turned into wisps of golden light and gradually dissipated. Golden light wanders between heaven and earth, and she is everywhere. The way of heaven returns to its proper place, and the three realms are at peace. My koi sister is 3.5 years old. Author, Xia Sheng. Chapter 490. Chapter 490 The Return of Heaven, completed. "Where has Aunt gone?" Xiao Yuer asked softly, lying in her father's arms. The emperor's figure paused slightly. "Hold his son and take a breath," his eyes were red. "Auntie went to a very far away place." The emperor's voice was hoarse. He had known since he was a child that his sister and he were different. Sister is always able to learn on her own without a teacher, and understands many things that do not belong to ordinary people. She can shock the three realms at will. He smiled bitterly. He and his sister depended on each other, and he even wanted to keep his sister by his side selfishly. A drop of clear tears fell. He understood that his sister did not belong to him. He belongs to all living beings and to the three realms. "Father, it's raining." The little prince stretched out his hand, and the rustling rain fell on him. The raindrops fell on the hands, with a hint of golden light. "Oh, it's golden rain." The raindrops turned into strands of golden light, and when they fell on the body, they moistened the skin and moisturized the body. When it falls into the earth, it turns into streams of pure spiritual energy, nurturing the earth. There is not a trace of rain on the ground, everything turned into aura. The way of heaven has returned to its throne, benefiting the three realms. The Emperor of Heaven looked at the golden rain in the sky and sighed slightly. Yan Sushui leaned against Fujuxiao, as if she had suddenly lost all her strength. She slipped softly, and Fujuxiao hurriedly helped her up. "I can't keep it after all." Sushui's face looked uglier when she smiled than when she cried. A trace of golden rain fell on her body, making her completely cold. "My daughter." Sushui's eyes were filled with tears, but she didn't dare to shed any of them. "Today is a good day for my daughter, and the child doesn't want to see her like this." Mother and daughter have a close relationship, and I haven't even spent many days with her. Just thinking about it makes Sushui's heart ache. Fujuxiao held back tears. I don't blame you. He pursed his lips and glanced at the sky. The great road is ruthless, and the way of heaven is selfless. Her identity has been determined since she was born. God does not allow us to have too deep emotional entanglement with her. Neither you nor I can change it. She is the chosen heir. Emperor Junhua stared blankly at the girl, watching her soaring into the sky with great determination, turning into dots of starlight to protect the three realms. A sound of wow. Daijun Junhua vomited out a mouthful of blood. Emperor, the little boy hurriedly went to help him. The emperor waved his hand slightly, but he still looked at the sky dreamily. She didn't even look at him. She has no regrets and follows her high road. Dai Junhua's lips were bleeding, and his heart felt empty. He knew that he had lost the most important thing. Can never come back. Dai Junhua spread his hands, and golden rain fell on his fingertips. The golden rain is crystal clear. Just like the look in the girl's eyes that year when she raised her head and made up her mind to abandon everything and marry him. Bear me down to heaven. The gods knelt down to see each other off. Sushui's mood swings were too great, her soul began to turmoil again, and she finally fainted. Fujuxiao lazily picked her up and glanced lazily at the demon world. All the demons were trembling. They are fooling around. The most unlucky initiator is in a state of disgrace, and they may also suffer greatly. Unlucky, so unlucky. He actually abducted the most immobile child in the world. Xiao Yuer was tired of crying and had fallen asleep in the emperor's arms. Fu Huizi asked the children to be sent back to their homes, and based on the performance of several children, he gave them full rewards. Fu Huizi saw that several children had good temperaments, so he also selected a few to accompany them as reading companions. As soon as he was enlightened at the age of 3, he stayed with him. The way of heaven has returned to its proper place, and the three realms have regained order. Chaos returns to calm in an instant. The way of heaven is upright and impartial, and there is a sign of purity and justice in heaven and earth. The world of monsters and demons has been cleared, and I'm afraid they won't dare to do it again for many years. Sushui held a jug of wine in her arms, and Fujuxiao held the food box. Secretly take out the small statue of Tiandao. 90% similar to Fuzian, which shows how much effort and love has been put into it. The wine was poured in front of the little statue and the tributes were laid out, all of which were things Fuzian once liked. There are even some unfashionable street snacks. Mother knows that you like to eat food in the human world, please try it quickly. Heaven and earth do not allow the Tiandao temple to be sculpted, so Fujuxiao and Yan Sushui carved this small statue themselves. It's just that I never carved my eyes. The way of heaven has spirit. There is spirit in the painting. Yan Sushui sat in front of the small statue and chatted about the recent situation. Your sister-in-law is pregnant again. I've seen it. This time she is pregnant with a little princess. Yuer always talks about you and often wakes up crying at night. He has been clinging to you since he was a child. A colorful butterfly flew over, landed on the tribute, and listened quietly to her voice. Before leaving, butterflies landed on Sushui's cheeks and on her tears. He seemed to be wiping away her tears. Yan Sushui was stunned. His breathing became lighter, his tearful eyes flashed slightly, and he did not dare to disturb the butterflies on his face. After a while, the butterfly flapped its wings and left gracefully. Yan Sushui pointed at the distant butterfly incoherently, and Fujuxiao gently covered her mouth. Yes, I know. We all know she has her responsibilities and identity. She knows it, but she can't say it out loud. Yan Sushui had tears in her eyes and surprise on her brows. Fujuxiao whispered, she has never left us. In the palace at this moment, the naughty little prince was lying on a sycamore tree as tall as the clouds, and there were anxious little eunuchs underneath. Your Highness, please be careful. Hurry and invite your Majesty and Empress. Ask the eunuchs to get ready quickly. The eunuchs felt weak all over and were shocked by what they saw. If this falls, I'm afraid my life will be lost. Maybe it was because of the rain. When the little prince was sitting on a branch, his feet slipped and his little face turned pale. Trying to reach out and hook the branch. Unexpectedly, the branch was brittle and broke with a snap. Ah, the little prince fell suddenly from a high altitude. Your Highness, several companion readers were so scared that their scalps were numb and they tried to catch it with their bodies. The small figure landed quickly. He narrowed his eyes in fear. He felt his blood surge and felt that he was about to fall to the ground. Who knows? It was as if a gentle wind was holding his body. While he was lying on the ground, the Emperor and Empress happened to come over. The Queen was so frightened that she became paralyzed and sat down on the ground. He stumbled and crawled over awkwardly. The little prince opened his eyes and was frightened. Fu Huizi was also trembling in his heart. You were Imperial Doctor, everyone called the Imperial Doctor in panic, but the little prince sat up directly. It doesn't hurt. Father, Queen, and Mother, it doesn't hurt at all. The little prince came to his senses and waved his arms. Several Imperial doctors took turns to check, but found no injuries at all. Everyone was amazed. The little prince's lips moved, and the Emperor waved his hand to ward off the attendants. Father, I seem to have met my aunt. My aunt held me up, and she smiled at me. The Queen's body was shaking nervously and she didn't stop for a while. He just hugged you and said, she likes you the most. She has always kept a distance from everyone, and does not want to get too close, fearing that it will be uncomfortable when everyone is separated. Only for Xiao Yuer, I feel a little more attached. I miss my aunt so much. The little prince cried in his mother's arms. This plane tree is said to have been home to a phoenix, so it grows very tall. It is the tallest thing in the palace. I just want to climb up and see if I can see my little aunt. I want to tell her that I miss her. Fu Huizi touched his son's head but did not reprimand him. Only whispered, she knows everything. She knew that her brother missed him too. Everyone misses her. Mortal world. At some point, the small wooden house in Luotian village was renovated and returned to its original appearance. There lived a handsome and noble young man inside. He guards this home day after day. Wherever there is injustice, there is him. You love the three realms. I love you. Then, I love what you love. End of this chapter.